Hi, guys, and welcome to Live and Learn. That's so weird to say because I'm so used to saying, like, welcome back to Midday Matcha, but this is the new podcast, Live and Learn. Oh my God, I have so much to update you guys on because it's been a year since I've been in front of a microphone talking my shit and like doing a podcast. So just buckle in. But first, you're probably like, what the actual fuck is this podcast? So, okay, Live and Learn. This idea came to me. Yes, it came to me when I was in LA before I moved my entire life there. I was in LA. I was with my old team and we were talking and they were like, how do you feel about Midday Matcha? I said, so fucking bored. I'm so fucking bored with that podcast just because I felt like it was getting repetitive and I was like doing the same thing over and over. And then at that dinner is when we came up with the idea of Live and Learn, which is this podcast right now. And honestly, Brittany and Logan, my old managers, were like the main reason behind this. And I loved the idea. So here we are now. And so basically the idea of Live and Learn and like what you guys are going to get is it's still going to be kind of midday matcha style, but with the topics I talk about, like I want to bring experts in their field on the podcast. So like, let's say I'm talking about like my OCD or like how someone in my family died or like dating, sex, anything like that. I'm going to bring experts in their field to talk about those situations. So it's not just like me, it is just me ranting, but it's me ranting with an expert and we can like talk about it and I can give you guys facts. But don't worry, it's not going to be too like deep, crazy, and just like, what the fuck? It's going to be lighthearted conversations as if I'm talking to you guys with the guests. Hopefully they love it. I really don't give a fuck. And that's just kind of the vibe of Live and Learn. It's just a lot of healing through humor. And I think bringing experts in their field on will just be so beneficial because like, yes, I have my opinions on how I got through the things I went through, but then having someone who actually like knows what the fuck they're talking about is really going to benefit, I think, all of us. But like also don't worry because I know we love the solo episodes. So the solo episodes are going to be at least twice a month. So it's like twice a month me, twice a month guests. But I'm still deciding that. We're still working on that. But I was just like, oh my God, do I miss podcasting so fucking much? And like so much has been happening. And it just has felt like I haven't had the girls to talk to. And oh my God, I know you bitches want it back. It's like the only thing that's in my DMs. It's like, when are you bringing the podcast back? When are you bringing the podcast back? Well, and right now we have a new podcast and that's Live and Learn with Livi. I'm your host. Okay. So that's like a little bit about Live and Learn and what you guys can expect from this upcoming season. I am so fucking excited just to be back behind a microphone. You have no idea. I actually feel like I'm smiling ear to ear. Also, I think I look super fucking pale today. So like noted, I will self-tan before any future episodes. And like, I don't know, it just my hair. You know what? I'm actually trying to be nicer to myself. So, that's that. But this week's episode, I was like, let's just catch up because it's been a year of me not talking my shit on this podcast. So much has fucking happened. I've lived so much and I've learned so much. See what I did there? I'm a branding expert. Anyways, I was like, let's just talk about it. I want to talk about literally every single thing that's happened. And I'm really not going to hold back and I'm really not going to give a single fuck. So we're going to do just that. Oh my God, she's back like she never left. But the number one thing. Let's talk about it. Okay, I moved to California in January. Yes, it is currently December and I'm back in New York City. Okay, I did move my life across the country. Whatever. I have a YouTube video on that. You can watch that. I'm so sick and fucking tired about talking about it. Long story short, my energy wasn't aligning. I wasn't my best self there, so I moved my entire life back. But so much happened in California where like I didn't get to talk my shit. So like now I get to talk my shit about what happened in California. Okay, number one. Money issues. This is my first time dealing with my own money issues. Growing up, if you know anything, I don't know if I think I've talked about this. I've talked about fucking everything. But growing up, I came from like my parents did really well. My dad specifically. Ew. But like he did very well for himself. So I grew up, I was like, we're rich. Like, oh my God, we're so fucking rich. And I also grew up in a neighborhood where like everybody did very well. Like I grew up in white suburbia and everyone did very well. And so I was 16 years old when my dad like lost everything. Apparently he lost it like way before then, but I guess it hit my ass at 16. Like, hey, we are broke. We have no money. So I went from living in like a very nice 5-bedroom home to a 2-bedroom condo with my mom and my 2 sisters, like very quickly. And that's when I realized like, oh, okay, we have no money. We lost everything. Like I saw my childhood home foreclosed on, everything like that. So I grew up with like the notion of when you go through losing that much, and it like wasn't even my money, but like when you watch your parent go through that and just like things that were normal beforehand where it's like, oh, can I have like $40 to go to dinner with my friends, was like, no, I just became completely financially independent at 16. So I wanted to give you guys like a background of like what my money trauma is, I guess, a little bit. So from 16, I was like financially independent. I mean, it was literally just my mom and I, like she was the only person that could help me financially. My dad was not in the fucking picture. That loser literally was gone, and like, thank God, you know what I mean? But I was working nonstop since I was like 16 years old, and more 18. I feel like, yeah, it was like more 18 years. I mean, I worked at 16, but like I was still in high school. But my mom made it very clear. She was like, it's all on you. Like all the finances are on you. I'll help where I can help. But it wasn't like my mom was giving me an allowance or my mom was paying for my rent or anything like that. So everything I've had, I've always done by myself. And I actually love that. I will probably make my children do that. And me like getting so off topic, like what the fuck is new? Just because it like built me into like who I am today. But so up until I became a full-time influencer 2 years ago, I was a server. If you know anything about servers, they make no money. Like you just really don't make that much money. And I was still like fine with that. Because I was just chasing my goals. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a struggling artist. Like, what the fuck do you expect? So, not my hair. Anyways, I then became a full-time influencer. What I used to make a year at a serving job, I was making monthly as a full-time influencer. So and not to be like, oh my, like I'm rich. No, that's not it. It's just like you get exposed to a large amount of money very quickly when, at least I did. Like it went from 0 to 100 so fucking quickly. Like the second I signed with my management team, it was like the deals were coming in and each deal was like a very big number. And I was super grateful. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, but I took it as, I did it. You know what I mean? Like I'm never going to have to struggle with my finances ever again in my entire. We made it, girls. Like we did it. We did it. And I don't know if I was stupid as fuck or I was just young. Mind you, it was like I was 23 and you're getting like large sums of money and it's all my money. And I obviously spent it. And we're going to get into literally all of that where with influencing, what happens is if I get a deal in, let's say, January, I probably won't get paid for that deal till like March, April. It's a net 90. So they have 90 days to pay you. So yes, I see this large sum of money and it comes in like April. I'm like, what the fuck is this from? Oh, a deal I did back in January. So for me, from January to June, I was doing deals nonstop. So then from June to January, I was getting paid for those deals. But what I wasn't doing in the time from June to January was doing more brand deals. So like, that's where I personally fucked up, where it was just like, maybe I wasn't getting the deals that I necessarily wanted, or I didn't want to work with that brand specifically. And I always was just under the impression like, girls, we made it. Like, I'm rich as shit now. Like, we're so good. Like, whatever. Until it hits you. And I'm in January and I just moved to California. And I'm like, I haven't done a deal in 6 fucking months. Like, I haven't done a deal in 6 months. And the money I've spent that I've been getting in is slowly going to go away. And what the fuck are you going to do? Because we still have to, like, what the fuck are you going to do? Because even if I get a deal in January, I'm not getting paid till March. So right when I moved to California is when it hit me. And I was like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what did I do? And I do blame myself because number one, I was spending as if, and there's like a syndrome for it. I don't know what the fuck the syndrome is. I don't think it's a syndrome, but my friend was telling me about it where it's like you get this new lifestyle and like, obviously, everything doubled when I went to California. Like my rent doubled because I could afford more and things like that. With being said, I was still bringing in the money. I wasn't. And I simply just like was not. And that was like the first time that myself, I had really dealt with like actual money problems. And it's sounding, I go back and forth with like being actually like really vulnerable about this topic and just being like, it's no big deal because just like, I don't know, for me and myself, I just feel like it was a really big deal when it was happening. I think financial stress is like one of the worst things somebody can feel. Just ignore me if I'm like touching my hair, whatever. It was very like oh my God, I can't fucking speak. Debilitating, where I was just like kind of disappointed in myself, where it was like, I saw so much growing up. Like I saw so much. I thought I was handling my money correctly. I wasn't handling my money correctly. And there's just like things that I really would have done differently, which we're going to get into because if we lived it, we learned. So let's talk about what I learned and like what I would do differently. Number one, taxes. Bitch, they take so much money. Who fucking knew? Everyone kept telling me like, prepare for taxes, prepare for taxes. My business manager, prepare for taxes. I said, okay. No, they take actually so much money. And it's like, I have no issue paying my taxes because I'd literally rather never go to prison in my entire life. Like, orange is my color, but not in that sense. I actually think I would rather die than go to prison because, like the IRS and whatever. And like, I saw growing up my parents deal with like IRS debt and stuff like that. And I knew I never wanted to do it. So when I like had those financial struggles back in like January and stuff like that, January till June, it was like really, really hard for me. I was really hard on myself where I was just like, what the actual fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And like, how did you get here? And I understand you have to like learn. But like, bitch, I was like tired of learning at that point. Like, I was like, what the fuck? But now I had to learn how to deal with my own finances on my own. And like, actually, because I don't have anyone to go to if like I don't have money really. Like, I can ask Sissy for like stuff, but obviously would always have to pay her back. But like, I don't have mom or dad to like pay my rent if I can't make my rent payment. Like that, I have to figure that the fuck out. And that's just like what I was dealing with. And it just came to a point where I was like, this is beyond stressful, was like below, like I'm not even like describing it correctly, but I want to get into like what I actually learned about it, because it's like, yeah, I went through all these like money problems and I went through like financial difficulties I've never been through in my entire life personally. Like, yeah, we all know dad lost the house, whatever, but it was just so eye-opening. There are so many things I would have done differently that I currently do now. Number one is a budget. I guess at the time not even like I didn't feel like I needed a budget, but I was just like, oh, it's like no big deal. And Sissy always told me, she was like, even the richest people in the world have budgets so they know where their money's going. Like wherever your money's going, like you have to know where it's going and how much you're spending. And it's not like, I don't budget in the sense of like, oh, we have to cut back because I want to put money here, here, and here. It's more of the sense of like, how much money am I spending on something? Here's a great fucking example. Whole Foods. If you had asked me how much I was spending at Whole Foods a month, I would have been like maybe $300. Sissy went through my finances. I was spending $700 a fucking month at Whole Foods. What was I buying? I absolutely don't know. I literally was like, no, there's no way. Like, you have the wrong bitch. I don't know who's spending $700 a month at Whole Foods, but I wasn't doing like grocery trips. I was like going like here and there and like buying some stuff here and there kind of thing. And like you just pay the credit card bill. I don't even like look at what I'm spending. And then when Sissy and I sat down and she was like, oh no, this is what you're spending at Whole Foods. Who the fuck is spending $700 at Whole Foods monthly? I said, literally me. So to have that budget in place where it's like, even if I'm like, you know what? No, I just want to spend $500 at Whole Foods monthly, my number's way below that. Where it's just like being aware of that. And I use Rocket Money, not sponsored, but Rocket Money run me my bag. Anyways, and I love Rocket Money because you see how much you spend monthly and like what you're spending it on and everything like that. Even like dinner and drinks, or how much I'm spending on Ubers. Like, you literally don't realize. Uber Eats, don't get me started. I was like, oh my God, I'm fat as hell. Like, how did I spend that much money on Uber Eats monthly? Like, how the actual fuck did that happen? And it actually, I used to be like scared to like look at my bank account and like what I was spending my stuff on. I just was like, I'll pay the credit card bill and we're good. You know what I mean? I have money in the savings. I have money in my checking. I pay the credit card bill every month. We're good. No, I like to now know where my money is going, what I'm spending my money on. Bitches could have been robbing me. Like, bitches actually could have been robbing me and I would have had no fucking idea, because I just like don't check. I wasn't checking my credit cards like that, or like what I was spending like that. And it's just like, oh my God, be so for real. Even every month, not every month. Well, yeah, every month I have someone who does my expenses because they need to do that for my taxes. Don't get me started on the fucking taxes, bitch. Anyways, and actually I did make one of my hoes now does my expenses because he gives me a really good deal, because he was one of my, we don't hoe anymore, but like he was one of my hoes and he's good at what he does. And we were on the phone the other week and he was like, you spend a lot at Erewhon. And I was like, okay, like, and I hated to hear it, but it was like so true. And he was like running me the numbers of like what I was spending. First of all, the fucking bird scooters. I had a car in California. You want to know how I was spending so much on these bird scooters just because I loved the vibe of them. And I honestly stand by that. I was like, you know what? Fuck yeah, I love the birds. But like, he was telling me just the things that I was spending. And then he hit me with the number of like what I had spent this year and what I had made this year. I cried. Imagine me crying on the fucking phone to my whore. And I'm literally sobbing a little bit because I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? But it was just, I wasn't very aware of my finances at that time. Now I'm very aware. Another thing I really love, high yield savings account. That's like my savings account that I have is high yields. Honestly, I feel like I'm not the best to explain it, but like whatever. You basically put money in. It's a savings account, but they pay you. I don't fucking know. I use the Capital One high yield savings account because it's the best one. It's really good. And I really like that one because you make money off of your money. So instead of just letting it sit in a normal savings account, let it sit in a high yield one where you can make interest off of it. I think, and interest in the positive way, not the negative way. Because I always think about interest as like the negative way, interest in the positive way. So yeah, I always recommend a high yield savings account for anyone saving because it's like, oh, they're just like giving you, I think I got paid like maybe $300 this month just for like putting my money in the Capital One high yield savings account. Do I know how it works and why the fuck they're paying me? No, not at all. But I know high yield savings accounts are good because my business manager told me that and Sissy told me that. So we're going to go with the high yield savings account. And also, when I talk about the budgeting, I'm just throwing out numbers. I know they're not really realistic numbers for everybody. So when I'm saying, oh, like $500 a month as like grocery budget, I'm very aware of what's happening in the world. And I know that's like not realistic for everybody. Obviously, do it for what you make and like your salary and your income. That is just like the best. And now there's one thing about me is like I turn into an expert when I don't fucking know something. And now I'm doing budgets for other people. Like what, Livy? Like anyways, of just like, yeah, I don't need to be spending I would never spend $700 a month at Target. Maybe I fucking would in the past. But just spending your money, it's just like, I don't know. I just honestly could talk about it for hours. Could you imagine? I'm like, so this is all the episode is me talking about money. Money has energy. This is where I get all woo-woo about it, but money does have energy. So like the more you fear it, and I'm going to butcher the fuck out of this quote, and it's actually going to make no fucking sense, and you're going to be like, Livy, what are you even talking about? But I saw a quote one time where it's like, money is like a mistress. If you treat it, okay, bear with me here, bitch. Money's like a mistress. So if you treat your money like a mistress where you're just like not paying that much attention to it, like you don't really care about it that much, you use it and look at it when you want it kind of thing and not really anything other than that, compared to if you treat your money as if it's like a girlfriend, I guess, and you're like, you love your money, you take care of your money, you're always looking after your money. It's like that is how your money is going to act towards you. I think the quote was like, money can be a bitter mistress or something like that. Like if you're not giving your money the attention and like being aware of where your money's going, it can fuck you so hard. And not the best way, like in the ass. Like, and you know what, just whatever. But basically just be like aware of your money because like, even though it's stressful to like look at your bank accounts and stuff like that, maybe change that energy into like something positive. Like, oh my God, like even if you don't like what you see in it, it's like, I'm still seeing money in the bank account. And like, that's what, and just having like a positive mindset around it. I feel like that shift of instead of fearing money and then taking control of my finances. Cause nobody ever taught me about finances growing up. Like nobody taught me anything. Sissy taught me everything I know. Like my parents didn't teach me absolutely anything. So I've been having to learn by myself. Like nobody helped me with that. And I feel like I've learned a lot this year just about money and how to spend it and how to budget it. And it was an interesting time. Eventually I'll do like a money episode. You're like, please don't. You already talked for 20 fucking minutes about it. But like I do want to bring an expert in the field and like they can maybe deep dive a little bit more instead of me calling money a fucking mistress. Okay, anyways, the next thing that I learned a lot about this year was friendships. I learned so much more about friendships this year. And the stuff that I'm going to tell you it's from like college friends. Okay, bitch, it's like college friends. Like, but I learned a lot this year in the sense of I rekindled a lot of friendships that were not active in my life beforehand. And I would get like annoyed and I would call Sissy and I would be like, this person just like, this specific thing like annoys me about them. Sorry, this side looks so much better. Anyways, and I was like, this specific thing is so fucking annoying to me about them. Like they do this one specific thing and it's so annoying. And she was like, that's the same exact person that they've always been. Like they've always been like that. They've always done that. So if you're expecting that person to change, even as much as they say they've changed, like they haven't. And like either you put up with that or you don't, but like stop fucking complaining about it because like there's nothing you can do. And I was like, you know what? That's actually like a really good point where Sissy was like, they'll always be the same person. And like, that's that. Either you want to deal with that or you don't want to deal with that. And I was like, that's actually like a really good way to look at things. And yeah, I was just like to a point where I'm so big on energy. I'm so big on who's in my circle and how we're all doing like, I want like the best people around me and who motivate me and make me feel like the best version of myself. And I actually met a lot of great people in California, like my friend Maddie. We love Maddie. If you don't know Maddie, like I don't know how you don't know Maddie. She showed up for me in a time where I was going through something really difficult with friendships in general. And she showed up for me in that time like no other. I don't think Maddie even understands how much she showed up for me in that time. And that like meant the fucking world to me. I don't know why I get emotional about it, but like I do, because it's like people that I haven't even known that long have shown up for me in ways where people I've known almost my entire life could have never shown up for me and decided not to show up for me in those ways. And just having someone who's so supportive, and Maddie and I are in the same field, like it really is just so great. And it's just like we both want each other to win. It's not even, I've never competed with any friendships. I never felt that was necessary because I always felt like we're all in our own lanes. I don't think competing with anyone is normal. I compete with my fucking self. That's about it. I want to be better than the bitch I was yesterday. I don't care about the people around me. If anything, I always want the people around me to win, and it shows in every single way. Like that is one thing I can take pride in. It's like, if I want somebody to win, I'm going to make sure they fucking win. And I'm going to make sure I push them to be the best version of themselves. Not everyone can handle that. That's totally fine. But friendships really, and I just came to like a conclusion of like my day ones, like the people that have been there for me for like so long that I've known my entire life, I value them so much. And those are the friendships I value. And just like Sissy, you guys know I love Sissy. Just having that built-in best friend who can always keep it real with me, and like I know she's gonna be there for me, like no matter what. Even though when you guys watch this, but like Sissy and I tonight are going to dinner, and I just want it to be her and I to like celebrate the podcast because she's been there for me for like all my wins, but also all my really, really hard times. And it's like, I would be like so content, and I know this is so toxic to say, but I would be so content if it was just me and Sissy the rest of my life. Like if that was my circle, because like even though she does piss me the fuck off, just having someone that's like always been there for you and always shows up for you in Sissy has never not showed up for me. And that is something that I like really appreciate. And yeah, like just like, I know it sounds pessimistic to be like, yeah, people don't fucking change, but like it is really hard no, it's not really hard for people to change, but people can say they change and they didn't fucking change. And that is just something that I've realized. And that is up to me if I want to keep that person in my life or not. And I decided that I don't want to keep people in my life like that who are not like actively changing and like becoming the best versions of themselves. Cause like that is something I work on so fucking hard to like become the best version of myself, hit those goals, hit those milestones, all those things. And like even, let me talk about my ex-boyfriend for a second. Cause like, let me just talk about him. But him and we've been like weirdly catching up this past year. I think I called him a bitch recently, Frenchie. You guys, if you remember Frenchie, but we were like catching up and I was like, oh yeah, like I hadn't talked to him in 2 years. And I was like, oh, well, God, so much has changed. Like I moved to California. I'm full-time influencer. I signed with this agency. I signed with this management. I did this, this, and that. Oh, I bought this car. I did this. And he was like, just doing the same exact thing he's always been doing. And there's nothing wrong with, you know what, there is something wrong with that in my eyes, because it's just like, you're not doing anything to like make yourself the best version of yourself. And that's like really hard for me to be around people who are just like not actively wanting to become the best versions of themselves. And I think that can wear off on you a lot. Like I felt that wearing off on me, like surrounding myself with people who didn't want to be the best versions of themselves can like makes you not as motivated. Like I like surrounding myself with people who are like actively becoming the best versions of themselves and want to be the best versions of themselves in any sort of way, because it fucking motivates you. Not me always finding a way to bring up my ex-boyfriends, but yeah, I did learn a lot about friendships this year and like who I want in my life. There's been so much that's happening and so much that is coming, and like who celebrates my wins with me and like doesn't, you know, make fun of me. Like that was a big thing that I dealt with this year, was like, I guess we could call it jealousy, but I was like, you think it's a joke and you're like actively making fun of me in front of me, but like I'm not laughing, and if anything, you just showed me your insecurities. And like that's that. You know what I mean? Like I kid you not too, you guys, once I turned 25, that frontal lobe fucking developed, bitch. The frontal lobe developed, and I'm so much more aware of like what I do and don't want in my life, from like friendships to literally everything. I will say I've also been taking accountability this year. That's something when I look at, for example, Tim has been like a really good friend of mine. We went to high school together, but then like when we both moved out here is when Tim and I got really, really, really close. And like I had a conversation with him right when I moved back to New York about how I was not a great friend to him this year. And like I took accountability for that. Like there was a situation, Tim came during Coachella weekend and I was just like, I'm too busy. Like I can't see him, all these things. And like I wasn't the best friend in that sense. I wasn't like, there was like, and I kept telling Sissy, like, I think he's in the wrong. I think he's in the wrong. And Sissy will always tell me when I'm in the fucking wrong, bitch. It's almost annoying. And Sissy was like, no, like, Livy, like, you're in the wrong for that one. And it just like, I don't know. There's so much strength in taking accountability where it's like, yeah, we're not all perfect. We don't all do things like the best. And it's like, I wasn't the best friend to Tim this past year at all. And like, luckily for me, he can be like, you know what? It's okay. Let's move forward. I wasn't the best. He never said I wasn't the best to you, but I wanted to. He did it. And we can like move on and we can move forward from that and we can keep going because like that is the most important thing where it's like I can right my wrongs in times that I've been wrong. And I think that is something that was even I reconnected with a friend from high school. Her and I had like a very big falling out. And I told her, I was like, no, I apologize. I was wrong for the things that I did in that situation. When you're young, not even when you're young, but like sometimes when you get caught up in your own head, in your own world, you do things that hurt people. And if you're not willing to take accountability for that, I think then you need to like check yourself a little bit more. And that's where I was, that like I needed to check myself. Okay, like I was wrong to this person the way I ended the friendship. I literally blocked her. And I was like, that's with no explanation. Like I couldn't be an adult enough to like sit down and be like, hi, these are the things that are like really bothering me. Honestly, I don't think either of us were adult enough at that point to have that conversation. But I mean, 3 years later, I randomly saw her on a plane going to Miami and like we're like good friends now. And I missed having that friendship in my life. Like I missed having her in my life. And it just is like, you have to take accountability for the people that you have wronged if you want to make amends with them and you want to move forward. And also just like, making amends with yourself for the things that you've done. Like literally nobody's perfect. You're going to do things that maybe hurt people. And that's okay, unfortunately, but like apologize, you know, like don't be so narcissistic and naive to think that you're in the right no matter what. Like your head's in the fucking air unless it is in certain situations, but like right your wrongs and apologize for things that you've done. Like take accountability for like the things that you've done. Like, you know, I think that's a big thing I've learned these past 2 years of taking accountability for situations I've caused people pain in. Like I caused Tim pain. I apologized. Luckily, we're able to work on our friendship and like we have an open line of communication and that's so valuable to me. I caused pain. There was pain both ways from my high school friendship breakup. And like we talked about it and it was like, okay, and I'm sorry. Like it was like the first thing I said to her as we sat down and got coffee in Miami. I was like, I am so sorry. Like I am genuinely so sorry for the way I acted, the things I did. Like I apologize. And like, honestly, she had the kindness in her heart to like forgive me. And we just like talked about that time. And I think that's just like a really beneficial thing is to like take accountability for the things that you've done, but also remove the people that don't fucking like serve you and want the best for you in your life. Okay. Another thing that happened this year, and I think it's the best thing that happened to me this year, is I delivered a baby. I had a baby, you guys. I fully birthed a child. Okay. Well, a little bit. It's Tiny, my little dog Tiny. If you guys don't know who Tiny is, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. He's the light of my life. If you follow me on Instagram, like I literally post him 24/7. He is my actual child. Oh, I need to tell you guys just like the little story time of how I got Tiny. So a friend of mine called me and it was like a week before my birthday. And mind you, I had planned to go to Tulum for my birthday. I had the trip booked, everything. You're like, what the fuck does this have to do with a dog? Anyways, my friend calls me and she's like, okay, before I even say that, I've always wanted a dog. Like I have always wanted a dog. Everyone was like, don't get one. There's so much work. There's so much responsibility. So moving to LA, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like if I'm meant to get a dog, it'll find me. Like the dog will find me. You know, I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, if I'm meant to get the fucker, he will find me. Okay. Or she, whatever it is. And I just thought that meant like I'd find a really great pet finder listing or I'd randomly go to a shelter one day, I walk in and I'd love the dog. I get a call from a friend of mine, old friend of mine. And she's like, I found this dog. He was wandering on my street. He had a chain like linked to his neck and he's just been like wandering around my street. He's a little white dog and she's like, I had to go get him from the bushes because his collar got caught on the bushes and he was just like walking around this like really busy street too. Could have died. And then when he got caught to the bushes, he was like freaking the fuck out and like her and her neighbor were trying to get him and he like wouldn't cooperate really. And they were like, well, we have to get you out of here because there was like a hill on the other side of like a down, I guess it's like a dam or a well, whatever it is that goes down, but like there's the bushes and there's the thing that goes down. Like he would have died if he got like let free and then like ran off the thing. And she called me and she was like, nobody's claiming him. Like, he's with my neighbor right now. I think we're going to have to take him to a shelter. And I was like, oh, yeah, take him to the shelter. I don't want a dog. Like, I'm not in a position to get a dog. Like, I can't. Like, and she was like, well, you're the only person I know that is like actively wanted a dog and is financially responsible enough and able to take care of a dog. And I was like, no, I don't want the dog. Like, I literally don't want this dog. And I called my mom and she was like, go and meet the dog. Just like go and meet the dog. And I actually get so emotional about this, like thinking about this, because like I went and I met Tiny and I named him Tiny. And like I fell in love with him. I think this is like the only time you'll really see me cry. And like this is actually getting so pathetic. I need to stop crying every single time I fucking talk about Tiny. But I met him and he was like just so, not shy isn't the word, scared is the word. He was just so fucking scared. He was very, like, just always hunched over, very scared. Like, he had, like, fleas. He had a double ear infection. He was, like, going the fuck through it. And I was like, I'll take him. Like, I will take Tiny. I will take the dog. And I was like, I want to name him Tiny, though. Like, that's the one. I don't know what it was. I was driving there, and I was like, if I take this dog, I'm naming him Tiny. Just randomly in, like, the back of my head. And so, at first, when I first got Tiny, it was a big adjustment. I think anytime you get a dog, it's like a big adjustment, but he is the best thing that's ever fucking happened to me. Like the way that dog just like lights up my life in no other way. And just seeing him go from like a scared stray dog. And like when I took him to the vet, double ear infection, he had fleas. He had like a lot of shit wrong with him, honestly. And just to see, he didn't play fetch. He literally only slept. I was like, oh, and he didn't bark. I was like, I have such a calm dog. He's so calm, you guys. He's so calm. No. That motherfucker, 3 months later, he started barking. He found his voice. He's confident. He loves to try and attack other dogs. It's this new thing. No. But like Tiny, he is so spoiled. He's the love of my life. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like getting him, and just seeing how much love can change an animal's life. Like I swear to God, you guys, like my goal in life, like fuck the kids. I just want a huge house with like a farm, maybe not the farm aspect, but just with a bunch of dogs. Like I just want like millions of dogs and I just want to like save all the stray dogs in the world because I see everything it did for Tiny. I'm like low key in the market for a second dog, but like not really at the same time because like Tiny doesn't love other dogs. But it just like that changed my life. And I feel like he matured me a lot too because like it's a dog, like you have to be on a fucking schedule with him. Like Tiny has a very strict schedule. He's very spoiled. He is just the love of my life. It's like the best thing that ever happened to me was getting Tiny this year. Like actually the love of my life. So, like if I literally, this is so dramatic, but like if I died tomorrow, I would die happy knowing that I helped him become like the best version of himself. Okay, like that just got so weird. But like you guys, I kid you not, when you have like a dog and just especially seeing a stray dog become like the best, and whoever had him before clearly abused him, like you can just see, you know, like certain mannerisms, like you could just see a dog was like very clearly abused, and it breaks my heart. I can't even think about his life before me because it actually breaks my heart just thinking about the things that dog endured. Don't worry, I'm definitely getting him a psychic reading, and it's definitely going to be an episode on this. Get ready for the fucking season of Live and Learn because the dog is getting a psychic reading. But he is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So another thing that happened this year, I'm a mother. Like I literally birthed a child. You can't tell me I didn't push him out of me. Like the way I look like I did. No, but just he is literally my child. Okay. The next thing I learned a lot about this year is my love life. I really do feel like I hit 25 and the frontal lobe developed and the losers just weren't hitting anymore. Like normally I was like, oh, I love a fucking loser. I love a man that gives me nothing. I literally love that. Now I'm like, that is so unattractive. Like there's nothing more unattractive than someone who is not actively showing me that they want to be in my life. I'm literally like, go get fucked. I don't care about you. Did I date in LA? Kinda. Not really. A little bit. Basically, I did suck dick like within the first 2 weeks I moved there. So like I was like, hello, California. No, but that was with a guy that I had been talking to for like so long. Like we had been talking to, I've known him since like 2020. And I got caught up in that. I was like, he saw me launch Midday Matcha. Like he's seen everything. Fuck that shit. He literally couldn't communicate. And then I had to like send a vulnerable text message. And that was really hard for me. But like that was never gonna be, if anything, it was like, I almost wish I didn't hook up with him because, and I wouldn't fuck him because I kept telling him his energy was horrible because it was. And I just kept telling, and I was just like, no, like, I wish I was a little bit more mature at that time to be like, okay, we don't have to suck every dick. You know what I mean? Like, some people can be just friends, Livy. But like with him, I had already been like sexting him. So it was like, fuck it. Might as well. If I'm here, you know what? Might as well do it. And no, not only that, like, tell me how fucked up this is. The way that I made that man come to my apartment, we were just like hanging out. It was like a rainy day, whatever. Made him play, what is it? We're Not Really Strangers, but the self-love edition, like the stuff that you're supposed to write in your notebook, like making this grown ass man play like the self-love edition of fucking We're Not Strangers or whatever it's called. And we just got like weirdly deep. And in that moment I realized, I don't think I can get deep with him because like the questions would come up and I would like laugh and I'd be like, the fuck is this? And okay, slip, fell, suck, dick, whatever. And he just like obviously wasn't ever gonna be the one. And like, thank God he wasn't. And then, but I was not down bad about him, but he was like on my energy a lot. And I was like, okay, this one motherfucker who I had met like when I visited LA before I moved there was like in my DMs nonstop, like, let me take you to dinner, let me take you to dinner. And I was like, you know what, I'm hungry. So you know what, take me to dinner, bitch. Took me to dinner. Looking back, I really don't think the date was anything special. But somehow it was like fun. Like it was for, mind you, also my dear friend works with him and like they didn't hook up, but like they kissed beforehand, like they've kissed before or whatever. And so and this is when I should have known I didn't like the fucking guy. The way that the man like leaned in to kiss me on the first date, like we were at the Santa Monica Pier. Don't ask. Like after dinner, we went to the Santa Monica Pier. Literally don't fucking, I actually love the Santa Monica Pier, so like get fucked. Anyways, the way that man leaned in to try and kiss me, I shoved him away. I go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I cannot stop thinking about Jenna. Let's just call her Jenna. I cannot stop thinking about the fact that you kissed Jenna. That is so not true. I fully lied to the man. I just really didn't want him to kiss me. And I was like, think quick, think quick, think quick. And that's when I should have known, like, hey, maybe like don't go further with this man. Like if you don't even want him to kiss you on the first date. Like I was just like really unattracted about it's like literally not that funny, but I was like unattracted about the idea of like me kissing this motherfucker. I was like, I am like not in the market for that. So we did go on to continue to talk and yeah, that was a weird one for me. That was a weird one. He would do little things that just like pissed me the fuck, like little lies. And it would just, no, it wasn't lies. This is what I actually hated about the fucker. He kept, okay, and this is going to sound super insensitive, but like with a bitch with mental health issues, like I get mental health issues, anything like that. And this man, to be fair, warned me in the beginning of the relationship, like, I struggle with mental health. So like some days I just like don't feel like doing anything. And I was like, okay, like I don't know what the fuck that has to do with me. Like take that out on your own time. But I was like, good to know. But then it would be times of like, my friend invited him to her birthday party. And like an hour before he was like, I had a horrible day at work. Like I'm not going to the birthday party. And I was like, okay, like what the fuck? Like, okay, I get you had a horrible day. When I have a horrible day, I don't bring it out on the person that I'm seeing because that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Also, I'm like, whatever. Like you knew about this for a week, like whatever. And it just kept always being like, I'm having a horrible day. I'm not doing this. Okay, then don't do it. I'll do it alone, you weird bitch, or I'll do it with friends. I was like getting so annoyed. And it was like, yeah, he warned me. Like he told me, he was like, I deal with this, but I was like, I also deal with mental health things. So like, I get it. But this was just like to a level where I just don't even think we vibed like that, where I'm like, hey, did you really like go through something? Or I just like always felt like he wanted sympathy, but like, this is where things get really fucking weird. I was ending things with him because I had just went to a trip in Austin and then I was getting ready for Coachella and like, he just like always kept, there was always something. If he wasn't like trying to fight with me, it was always something. And I was like, yo, you're low-key annoying the fuck out of me. Like I had a lot of peace before you came into my life. All you did was you came in my life and you didn't bring me any peace at all, bitch. Like you didn't bring me any fucking peace. And I was like, that's just like something I'm not willing to tolerate. Cause like, why the actual fuck would I put somebody in my life who just like is whack? Like, why would I do that? Like, I created a life of peace and a life that I love. Why am I going to bring a motherfucker in that causes me stress? Like, no, I'm not 14 anymore. Okay, ew. I'm not 18 anymore. I don't want to like deal with that, whatever. And also this man was like 30 fucking 2. It's like, come on now. And him and I were like barely talking when I was in Austin. Like I just really didn't speak to him that much. And then he had plans and he was like, oh, I actually can't do these plans. Like when I got back from Austin, he was like, my friend's in the hospital. And I was like, oh, okay, so sorry. about your friend in the hospital. Like, wouldn't give me really any information. And mind you, I'd been talking to this guy for like 3 months at this point. Like, we were pretty close. And like, yeah, we were like low key, like I was low key annoyed as fuck with him, whatever. Not about the friend being in the hospital, but like during the entire time. And then I remember I got back from Austin and I called him and I was like, hey, like, I just like don't think this is really gonna work anymore because like anytime we make plans to see each other, like you always bail. Like, I'm okay. Like, I think we're done here. The man starts crying to me. The man starts bawling his fucking eyes out on the phone. And I'm like, God damn, like, I didn't know you were that in love with me. No, turns out he was like, my friend died. Okay, so immediately I start fucking crying because I know exactly what it's like to have a friend pass away. Like, I feel so fucking horrible. And I'm like, I feel so terrible. Like, I'm so sorry that your friend passed. Like, I was like so confused. And I was like, the friend that was in the hospital, he was like, yeah, they passed away. And I just like felt horrible. But it was like a weird timing. It's like, I'm trying to end things with him. And so then I'm like, okay, well, like, I'm not that fucking heartless. Like, the man just told me his friend passed away. I can't be like, all right, so we're still over. You know what I mean? Like, and I know I probably should have, but like, I just like couldn't. And I was like, okay, well, like, I'm sorry. Like, let me know if you need anything. Whatever. So I'm like, fuck, I'm like still in it with this man, like whatever. And then the next day I was on FaceTime with Sissy and another friend of mine. We were on FaceTime and I randomly got a call from him and he was like, I'm at your apartment. I have matcha. I said, oh, that's scary. That wasn't like a thing we did. I was like, oh, okay. So he came in. One thing about me is like, I'm very, like, I've lost a friend. Like, I've lost a very good friend of mine. Like, she passed away. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. So, like, I understand that. When I lost her, it almost helped me when I talked about her. I was like, this helps to, like, remember her. Like, it still helps. I still like to talk about her as if she's, like, still here kind of thing. So Sissy and my friend at the time were like, keep us on FaceTime. Like, keep us on FaceTime because, like, I want to hear what he has to say. And so he came in. I kept him on FaceTime. We sat on my balcony. He gave me my matcha. I was like, okay. We were, like, just chit-chatting on the balcony. And I was like, can I know about, like, what was your friend's name who passed away? Like, I would love to know. And he was like, I'm not telling you that. And I was like, wait a minute, what? He was like, I'm not telling you that. Like, why would I tell you that? I was like, the name of your friend who passed away? Like, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you tell me that? Mind you, 2 weeks ago, he's like, I'm thinking about making you my girlfriend. I'm like, what the actual, how are you going to sit here and not tell me anything about your friend who passed? He's like, yeah, I'm just like not going to talk about that. I understand everyone grieves differently, but the way he said it, I remember Sissy and my friend at the time that were on the FaceTime, like after he left, they were like, that was weird. That was really fucking weird. And I'm not sitting here and saying anything. I'm just saying that was like really fucking weird. Like, that was a very strange way to answer like my question of like, what was your friend's name who passed? Like, I would love to help you through this time. I'm not fucking telling you that. I was like, okay, whoa, defensive, whatever. And then, after that, I was just like, okay, I'm feeling like uncomfortable, like in every sense of the way. And like, I know that like sounds shitty, but like, it just felt really weird. Like, the way that he said that just felt like really fucking weird. And I was like, yeah, no, like, I'm just kind of, yeah, no, I'm done with this whole situation in general. Like, a lot has happened with this motherfucker. I don't want to keep doing this. And like, then I eventually ended it like right before Coachella because I was just like uncomfortable in the situation. And I was like, okay. And one thing I'm really bad at, ending things with a motherfucker, horrible at ending things with a motherfucker. The way that I was like, all right, my OCD really wants you to say this word. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, so we should be friends. And we never spoke after that. Anyways, that was just like a little bit of what happened in my love life in California. That was literally it. But then I did end up meeting this one guy, and I want to call him Mr. Could Have Been the One, because he checked off every single box that I had. Like, if I have a list of a man, he checked off every single box except a couple things, and they're the most important things of like communication, like showing the fuck up, being a man of your word, like those little things. I'm like, oh my God, you like lacked that. Like, that's so crazy. But he slid in my DMs. At first, I thought he was gay. Swear to God, thought he was gay. Thought it was one of my gays DMing me. You know I love when the gays DM me. He wasn't gay. So, like, he was DMing me. I was, like, DMing him back where I was like, he's one of my gays. Like, he is one of my, he wasn't gay. So, like, the things that he was saying, I was like, God, this is getting weirdly sexual between, like, when, like, I literally thought he was one of my gay fans. And I was like, God, that's, like, getting a little weird. Like, one of my gay fans would never say something to me like that. And I was like, oh, he's not gay. Okay. But honestly, it's such a type. Like, I love a little motherfucker that I think is a little bit gay. Like, that's always fun for me. And so him and I were talking, and we had like really good conversation. We had really good banter, and I really enjoyed my conversations with this guy. Like I said, he checked off so many boxes on my list. I was like, oh, I like this motherfucker. Like, he's a good one, right? Only issue was he lived in Washington and I was in California. And he always kept being like, all right, I'm going to come visit. And then would be like, okay, I'm coming like this day. And then was like, oh my God, like Microsoft canceled all the flights or something. And I was like, that's funny because I have your tracking number for the flight. It's in the fucking air, bitch. So you just like didn't want to come. So just say that. And then I gave him another chance and I'd be like, are you coming this weekend to LA? Because you said you were going to come. And he was like, no. And I shouldn't have kept giving him chances. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm done with him. Like, whatever, I'm fucking done with him. And then like the FaceTime would come and I would be like, you know what? Like, I mean, like, hey, how are you? Like, we really did have great banter and all those things and like a good connection. But it just like came to a point where I was like, I'm fucking done. Like, we can have a great connection. We can have great banter, but like, you're not actively trying to be a point in my life. So like, this is nothing. Like, unfortunately, this is absolutely fucking nothing. So like, I have to let go of the idea of this. I also have to let go of you as a person. Cause like, I don't want somebody in my life who's like, just wishy-washy and just like, you can say all these things and like do all these things, but you're not actually doing the one thing, and that's like coming to visit me. And like, I moved to New York. I'm so close to Washington. He loves New York. Always loves to come to New York, and is like, even like this past week, he was like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna see you Friday, okay? This stupid fuck is like, I'm gonna see you Friday. I'm like, okay, perfect. He's like, the time has come. Like, we're finally meeting. Who the fuck did I see Friday? Sissy. I didn't see that much. I didn't even hear from him. So I'm like, I'm good here. Like, I'm so beyond done on that one where it's just like, yeah, like, and I could entertain it because we have such good connection and all those things. But even if he like moved mountains to like be with me or like be in my life, I'd be like, no, I'm like fucking over it because like you showed me so many times you can't show up and you can't show the fuck up. And that's like the easiest thing to do. Like, I'm good here. So that's just things I learned about my love life. Like, I'm really not willing to tolerate losers or the bare minimum anymore. Like, that's just it. Like, we're good. We're done here. And like, if you're going to come into my life, come in it correct, or else you're not going to have space. Like, you're not going to have any space or time in my life. And that's that. Oh my God, that was the first episode of Live and Learn. Can we believe it? I cannot. Let me pose for a thumbnail. Okay, anyways. I cannot believe it. Brand new podcast. It's back. It feels so good to be back. Do I even remember what the fuck I just said here? No, absolutely not. But thank you guys so much, number one, for your patience. I know you bitches have been like really annoyed that I haven't had the podcast. I've also been annoyed. It feels so fucking good to be back. We're back on our weekly Friday episodes. I missed every single one of you, and I love every single one of you. Comment, subscribe, rate it on Spotify 1,000,000 fucking stars because that's what we're doing here. But love you guys. And I hope you are ready for this adventure of Live and Learn together. All right, follow me everywhere. She is Livi. Love you. Bye.